awaited match 2 is among us. We are just moments away here from getting into this one, and this is going to be a heater. With these players being ready and rearing to go for a few minutes now, they are focused, locked in, and ready to take this match by storm. Of course, it is Panda and Ben here breaking down everything for the Middle East qualifiers here for the first 2 matches. And again, you might hear some familiar voices slip in, aka Levin with the most familiar voice in Fortnite, and of course his dance partner for the day, Shayo Wager, will be slipping in with him after this match. But nevertheless, it's still on us. It's still on us to bring home match number 2 here. Now, Ben, my man, you are a Fortnite Zero Build expert. If you don't know, for all those at home, this man has won over $50,000 in prizing in Zero Build alone. So this man knows what he's talking about. Tell me about one of the strats you saw in match number 1 and why it was so impactful for the team that was using it.
I mean, of course, there's a couple obvious ones, right? We're looking at Cybertron Cannon. The double cannon, it's so good. We saw a couple players peeking over the side of bridges. You can look at players underneath. The double cannon, the same time, 2 players at once, 200 damage. It's just absolutely devastating. And of course, though, I mean, you continue through the shockwave plays. All these players look to close the distance because when you look at the way the format is right now, right, there's a lot of players that have that experience in this DreamHack Finals format, right? You look at Bloomy, right? No stranger to the qualifiers. Now looking for one last shot to kind of squeeze their way in. They know you have to capitalize on elimination. So every time you get a beam or you crack someone's overshield, maybe their normal shield, you get a tag for white, you got to throw those shockwaves and get in with your teammate and try and go ahead and close it out. Just because 10 points on top of any part of placement is a huge difference.
You are absolutely correct. And of course, it's time. You see the players loading in. They're in the loading screen. They're going to the pre-game island in just moments away here from getting into the battle bus, loading up and dropping off. But of course, before we do, I want to hear from the chat. Who's got a better beep beep? All right, Ben, do your beep beep right now as the battle bus gets loaded.
For the battle bus, I think it's
got to be a good one.
This is your idea, so you should go first.
No. You go first and then I go. That's how it goes.
Do I trust you enough? Let's do it a little beep beep.
All right, now let's just focus on the game.
Incredible.
So after Ben's incredible beep beep, we get into it. And here it is, of course, match number 2 is almost underway as we get prepared. 44 teams compete. Only 5 walk away at the end of the day with a qualifying spot to the Gamers8 event for the next 3 days. It is time. The battle bus is up in the air. Players are dropping down, and let's get into the action in match number 2.
Drop it out now. Onto the island itself. Get a nice little look here as everyone moves over. A big switch up in bus path. This time directly over the top of Brutal Bastion. Still starting off near Shattered Slab. So still those players are going to be continuing to stick with what they know and what they're comfortable with. But the rest of that bottom right corner, Mega City, Steamy Springs, Kenjutsu Crossing, are Game 1 winners. Going to be in a little bit of a different situation. Have to speed up that off-spawn looting just a little bit more to make sure they can rotate towards that center zone early on. And that's been a big topic of conversation, right? The players who have these kind of edge zone POIs or split drops, are they going to try and play zone a little bit more, or do they commit, hop in a vehicle, maybe they just start to hit that little left foot, right foot, and move towards center zone? Whatever it might be, it's kind of like, it's that big main decision as an IGL you have to make, but you have to make it off-spawn first. As we see some big action here over near the tower. Outside of the gas station, we'll see Basil now in a 1v2 situation, holding this right-hand peak. See him here with the SMG in hand, trying to stay quiet. Play this out. Players just below. It'll be Baylor. Just on the other side now together, FKS. I mean, they're right hand in hand. There really isn't an opportunity here to make a play.
No, there is not, and this is going to be a close one here as they continue to look for the solo that is left behind, and they literally look through every angle and crevice except for the one where the player remains. So this could end up being a missed opportunity for them to walk away with an additional elimination, as it looks like they're just going to disengage from the building.
Solid clutch, though. This player can kind of ride this out a little bit as they continue to loot up. Grab that reboot card at some point in time, look for the reboot. Be a big opportunity to try and make something of this game still, but Phantom, Faisal. Here at Slappy Shores, another popular POI in the standard BR mode, but still packs a punch in 0, build plenty of loot to go around and some nice elevation changes to try and look over at players or in that surrounding area. But again, you want to hold on. We'll see them loot on up. Not really looking for a fight early on, but it looks like Basil found the opportunity. One player's now knocked as it's an even 1v1.
This is going to be close too, but it does look like FKS should be able to get his teammate back into this one. But it'll allow for Basil to fully disengage. So for Basil, that's going to be huge for them. But my curiosity is piqued. Were they able to get the card before they had to disengage, or are they going to be reliant on playing as a solo player to make something happen?
You have to hope he was able to collect that reboot card, because now he's just going to have to hold off in this bush and hunker down for as long as possible. Look for that opportunity, because that kind of a drop spot is already center zone. You're going to more than likely get that first zone, so you're going to be waiting a while to look for that reboot opportunity. But we'll check in with some other teams here. RVR, Abotalex here at Shady Stilts, another popular POI, I believe. A lot of players said they wanted to land here. Seems like these two were the ones to hold it down for now. Azazer and Rish rotating out. Kind of stay quiet. And again, it seems like a lot of these off-spawn fights have started to fizzle out just a little bit more because they're trying to play for time.
Yeah, that's a little recap there from the fight earlier where they caught one of the teammates, but unfortunately was unable to capture the second elimination there in that fight. But speaking of eliminations, of course, we got to talk about our Game 1 winners who had an incredible amount of eliminations to finish that game out. And you saw them there up at the top of the leaderboard for good reason. That is Fahad and Hero walking away as the top #1 contender on the leaderboard thus far. But remember, it's only game number 1. 5 more to play. So much more time for these players to continue to climb. But still a good start for them nonetheless.
And we'll see Lil Fahad here. PK, also in Mega City. I find this very interesting. We see so many duos landing here, but then also a large number of them rotating in to try and take advantage of any loot left behind. But we'll have to look. Another split drop up towards the north side of the map here. You'll see Bador also already knocked here as he looks to aim duel off this right-hand peak. The damage is dealt, the elimination, the knock at least comes through. So now it's a 1v1. He has the advantage here. He can hold the right-hand peak as Smokar is caught out in the open, deals the damage, go over the top, 40 white. Time to pop the minis, but now both players looking to try and recover at least a little bit.
This is huge here for Grev. He's got the health advantage, forcing Smoker into Storm. There's not much he can do here, folks. He needs to get that flopper just to stay alive in the game here. It's going to be so close.
Which way will it go there? I'm sure one player, I mean, just a moment to pop that flopper. It's such a close call. Really rough for either of them as we see one player. You can kind of catch up on them a little bit. If you look towards the furthest north side of the map, you can see one arrow, so someone did come out on top, but Mega City, again, still so many players here, so much loot. So it's still worthwhile as long as you can kind of play cautiously and be aware of your corners. There's so much opportunity here at this POI. You can play top down, but now Mega City, that zone will pop. And here it is, high card boss. We could see the vault start to come into effect. And I mean, Panda, this is where things really start to get special because there is so much to be found inside these vaults.
There is, and remember, there's been a change since last season.
Yeah.
These NPCs do not spawn at every single POI anymore. They only spawn at select POIs at select times, and it's always random now. So while there's those bosses now located in Mega City, now it means that Brutal Bastion might not get them, or another POI might not get them, which had been getting them in the past year for last season. So we'll see how that plays out for them as of course, you already know gold border means first place there on the stage, and you love to see them continuing to compete. But the battle for Brutal Bastion continues on. It is one of the most intense fights, of course. Last game, we actually saw Artrix and Lil RV go down early. They did not have a chance in that battle, but now they still remain here as they continue to play this one out. But looks like they're going to have to be careful as another team approaching there from the north.
It's the name of the games a lot of the times, these third-party scenarios. You have to be careful. But you'll see Reet and Rue here outside Steamy Springs in an elevated position, trying to look down using these MK Alpha assault rifles. Seem to be the weapon of choice as far as AR selection this season, but we do see a lot of players opting for the Flapjack and those higher rarities, those mythic or legendary variants, of course, just because of the amount of damage it can do at close range. But Mega City, more action coming through. Another team eliminated as we'll break into the top 40. With only 4 teams down, this game is much slower than the first, so these players are starting to kick things into gear and take things seriously.
I mean, you and I both know, right? The nerves are high in game number 1.
Absolutely.
So once you make it over to match number 2, then the nerves have settled a little bit. You're not as, like, jittery, not as, like, anxious. So for a lot of these players, they're just starting to get their groove, and Artur Meow, definitely one of them that we're going to be watching closely, as they had a very, very solid game number 1 performance up there until the final moments. It did look like they fell a little early. However, they were getting elimination after elimination throughout the mid and late, so definitely a great position to find themselves in after game number 1. Not necessarily at the top, but not far away either.
Still looking for it. We'll go ahead and pull that right side zone again. Fairly central. But the teams landing, Breakwater Bay, Citadel, Shattered Slabs have a long way to go through the jungle at least. So some opportunities to find some rifts if need be, if they want to go ahead and go towards those temples. But again, we'll see some players rotating out. PK finding themselves a solo. Lil Fahad already being fully eliminated, so having to look for a reboot opportunity. Now stacking up some extra loot here. It seems like moving, dropping their current loadout, maybe trying to swap things out, stack it up on top of the building. Because Mega City, I mean, it's a great spot. You can look down on pretty much any player in your surrounding area. Don't have to worry about surge. Maybe you find a little bit of an elimination, because quick rotates from the top of these towers could be very useful in the long run to find extra loot.
Yeah, it definitely could be as we continue on. And Silva and Genji, a team that unfortunately didn't have the strongest start there in match number 1, looking to make a comeback here in match number 2. Zone 3, a little bit further ahead than they were able to survive there in match number 1. However, lots of strong competition in the area. It is Slack and Hype. You already know. We saw how aggressive they were in match number 1. I don't expect that to slow down here in match number 2.
I mean, if it's working for you playing this aggressive, there's no reason to change things whatsoever, just because of how valuable these elim points are. So you have to look, try and shift things up, though. PK, without a teammate, not a lot you can do, so trying to go ahead and collect one of these combat caches, find themselves those legendary slurp juices, because granted, we see the new addition of the ice cream coming in that legendary variant, so it is very powerful, but still, tried and true, these legendary slurp juices are just so powerful.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And look, obviously, while the legendary slurp juices aren't the king of heals anymore, they're still extremely valuable. And look at that.
Oh my
We have
goodness.
to talk about it. The explosive repeater rifle. This thing is insane. The damage it does to vehicles, incredible. But also, you only have to kind of aim in the area of where the player is inside the vehicle to actually do damage to them. So it's not like other vehicles where you have to be really precise through the windshield to hit your target. No. If you hit the player just slightly in the vicinity of where they are at with that rifle, you're ultimately going to do some damage. And a cool enough thing about it as well, it's the only heavy bullet weapon in the game as of right now.
I actually didn't even think about that. That's completely right. And now you see those new augments playing into effect as well. That heavy headshot, now with additional damage on top of it. And you can find yourself a legendary variant. You can be looking to do some big numbers to start to take out these players early on. But it seems like Kakarot, Murstache, again, seem to be struggling in the off-spawn just a little bit, opting to stay in zone for a long period of time. But granted, you have to start to think about it, right? These two, they do have a lot of rifts in the surrounding area, so it looks like Kakarot might have been looking for a reboot. Murstache the one to do so. And they have that passive mobility option, so they'll have to look to recover in the late game because it pulls far right side of the map.
You know, I'm going to look at that a little different than you did, right? You said they were kind of struggling, and obviously, while Kakarot wasn't in the healthiest position by any means,
yeah,
he did have some health items kind of placed in certain areas to go back to.
Sure.
I think it's a play for them because look at how far they are in the storm. Like, genuinely, they're almost out of view range in the way that map is set up. That's how far they are into the storm. So they're going to be playing that as a potential game plan here moving forward, and it was a very successful game plan in the DreamHack Qualifier finals. So I'm not surprised that Murstache, a player of his caliber, is opting to do that with his teammate Kakarot. Nevertheless, though, we got to switch this battle over and this focus over to Brutal Bastion. The fight hasn't stopped. folks.
No.
They literally, since the beginning of the game, these teams have sat here. It's Saddam and as well as his teammate going up against Lil Rev and his teammate, or Little RV. So it's interesting that they have spent a considerable amount of time here inside of Brutal Bastion. Like, at some point, you have to make the decision, like, maybe I should go ahead and move.
Yeah, I mean, this is where a lot of these teams, right, you'll see them, whether it's on a drop map, whatever it is, right, they say, hey, we're landing at this POI. They don't exactly establish which part of the POI they want to try and land for, so maybe there's surprise contestations. They're trying to go for the north side versus the south side, especially at a POI like Brutal Bastion, which we know historically is a split POI. We'll see multiple teams land there time after time, so you have to make sure you establish that dominance for the side that you actually want to compete for, but we'll see a lot of fights here going on. Clapsy, Silent. I mean, just inside of this shack, finding these players underneath the bunkers and finding a knock as Adapter's a solo on low HP.
Remember, Adapter, Mansour were one of the teams that were highly regarded going into this competition, and now this is a back-to-back game where they have just not found the success they're looking for here. So, nevertheless, Mansour is not completely out. Adapter, not completely out yet. So the fight will continue on. It did look like they got shockwaved away, which is why now Mansour and Adapter, unfortunately, going to be separated as Mansour are completely out of this one due to Silent and Clapsy closing in. But nevertheless, Adapter still has a lot of potential. We actually saw some solo clutches here from this team over in the DreamHack qualifiers. So I'm suspecting that it's very possible for Adapter to kind of repeat that same energy here in match number 2. However, Clapsy and Silent showing why they are a force that can't be stopped. Great start to the fights here, and surprisingly enough, the team above not really focusing in or honing in on them, despite them having a bit of a height advantage and a play advantage on them in the moment.
Something I do want to touch on as well. I mean, this zone positioning is always interesting. You have a little bit of Mega City, and then, of course, some of the tallest mountains in the game right now, so you have some big elevation changes. But on top of that, you have the Rift Island, the POI rifting spawning just in front of them. You're almost completely level or to the same height as the island itself, so they're looking right at you. You can see Bloomer here found themselves in elimination and trying to loot up on the extra loot, but Rapid and QNDX right in front of them, just basically staring them in the face, and they're on a massive island just hovering above the air, and that gives them the opportunity to capture the point as well, finding some more legendary slurp juices or even the mythic drum gun.
Hey, listen, I'm going to give you a Ben K and Panda masterclass on how to use the island, right? I'm going to be honest. We're the best players when it comes to this island. We've never lost a contested fight on the island between the two of us. So just here's a little masterclass for all of you at home. So Rapid and QND, they find themselves up here. They already got the capture point, and that means they've in a game mode with actual mid-map objectives. They could have potentially just walked away with 15 points, but of course that's not going on here in this competition. So let's talk about how you take it. The island appears. Let's say you're right underneath it, right? You go up first, let one teammate capture the point, and then one stay up on the house. Comp to the teammate if a team rifts immediately so you can connect. That's how you play the island. Let's say now, though, a team is contesting it and they're already there. Well, it's your turn to rift up and contest them.
Yep.
Make sure you are aggressive, fight strong, and that's how you take that island. Again, 10 out of 10 times we haven't lost. I'm just saying. We're doing some big things there on the island, Ben K and I, but nevertheless, it's about Mustache and Kakarot now as they found their way in to the furthest point in the game thus far. Obviously, match number 1 didn't necessarily go in their way. They're in Zone 5 here in match number 2. Big, big change for them. And, of course, we have to talk about it is Cal Gamer and Nema. And it's good to see Nema and Cal Gamer still in this one, too. Of course, Nema had some plays there in the DreamHack qualifiers as well. A very few Middle East players were able to come out and represent through those qualifiers, and I'm glad to say that obviously Nema, or NM7 as you see on the screen, is one of those players that were able to do it. So it's cool to see him competing here yet again in this one, but the players are dwindling down. Just a few more moments before that storm is no longer tolerable to take. And here we go. The moving zones have started, and the chaos begins shortly, Ben.
Running out of space. Seems like the team just inside Slappy Shores at least are going to luck out just a little bit there. Zone pulling directly towards them, so not having to worry about being too deep to the point where they're going to have to exhaust the majority of their utility. But Most of these teams, like we speculated, utilizing vehicles to try and rotate in. We see, but Kakarot and Merstash, they seem to go up and over the entire lobby to the best positioning in the game. It just seems to be things that Merstash does. I mean, he just does what he do, you know? Like, what else? Who else would be doing it except for Merstash?
He do what he do. I like that. You know, I'm going to say that now. Hey, look, there it is. Merstash, he do what he do. That's it. That's the name of the game for Merstash, is he do what he do and do and that do. All right, so nevertheless, though, we got to talk about it's Dexafite. Left alone as a solo, he has lost his teammate here. And with players like JK Reet and his teammate still in this one, it's going to be tough to survive, as so many teams are aggressive, changing up the pace here in match number 2. Again, remember, nerves are gone. We're in match 2.
Yeah.
Means that you kind of got some of those out in match number 1. I'm not saying nerves are gone for everybody, by the way. Just for some of the pros that have spent some time here in LAN environments, especially pros like Merstash, who continually show up in events like this. And so we'll see if, since those nerves are gone out of match number 1, they find success here in match number 2.
Looking to recover, make up big strides in the points. Granted, 60 points in placement plus elimination opportunities, so you need to drop a quick little 20 bomb to push yourself back up the leaderboard. It's still doable. Do what you have to make your way into that top 5, because that's what you're looking for. But everyone starts to move over. The team from Mega City finally making their way out. They probably overstayed their welcome just a little bit in the zone, trying to get their hands on the vault, because the zone not only pulls away from them in the first place, but does once again onto the furthest northern side towards Slappy Shores.
So much going on here as the zone pulls away from some fan favorites, and of course, analysts and caster picks in Rapid and Q&D. It's going to be a tough rotation for them, as they do still have a couple bunkers to use for this. However, it does look like they've been blessed a little bit on this rotation. Let me explain. Obviously, for them, based on where they're at, the left side is going to be the easiest way for them to go, because it's the shortest path of least resistance. On top of that, the left side actually has quite a bit of cover from trees and hill coverage, so they should be able to use it minimally without having to waste those bunkers. But speaking of using bunkers, of course, it's Bloomy having to use basically all that he had there for a moment. But there it is. We see the Little Whip ice cream cone come into full effect in a moment like that. This is huge.
Wow.
And this is why this item is just so impactful here in these games. You think you have an advantage on a player, all of a sudden a player like Bloomy pops that and is immediately back in the fight.
And they flipped the script straight on a dime. Now they're firing Cybertron cannons back at this other team, making them get real uncomfortable as they'll look to try and take the fight. One player is knocked out, leaving Bloomer all alone. 20 HP and the elimination there, so they'll get their hands on the ice cream cone in return. I mean, they saw it, right? They're getting punished. They had the Cybertron cannon, so it's either turn and run away or force the fight now, and they did just that and came out on top.
Honestly, massive respect there for it, as the ice cream cone just couldn't save Bloomy there in those final moments. It'll continue on here as the games continue to progress. It's, of course, Slack and Hype. We talked about it before, and we'll talk about it again. They're one of the more aggressive teams here on the map, and so we'll see how they play this out, if they'll continue to be aggressive here in these final moments, because these moments are really where mistakes are made more often than not, right? A lot of these players, they're top pro players. They know how to play the game to an extremely high level. However, with the high pressure of these final moments, typically even the best of the best end up making mistakes. I watched Thomas HD in the qualifiers, despite him winning, obviously, back-to-back dream hacks, make mistakes with the Cybertron cannon. He launched himself in the storm, losing a game, all because of the way he used it. Mistakes are made here in the final moments, folks, and that's what's going to define the rest of this game. Is Rapid still in it, Merstash still in it, and of course, our Game 1 winners, Fahad and Hero, still in this one.
And something I want to point out, the eliminations, Merstash, Kakarot, 8 eliminations, make that 9. So we'll go ahead and look to be racking up 45 points alone without counting placement, and we're just now breaching into that top 10. So this is where those elimination points are going to count in tenfold. You have to make sure you capitalize on these knocks, not only for loot and utility items, but to secure points.
This is going to be huge. Just Fahad and Hero now making their way into the game to finish this one out strong, but Rapid and Q&D right on top of them too.
Wow.
This is a fight of 2 of the top contenders going head to head.
And he's straight into it. He wants to get into the action here, looking to try and trade some shotgun shots, but Rapid shockwaves being spammed in all directions, but wants to go ahead and try and bunker down for a moment. Take a second, look to try and use the cannon, but takes a shot in return. Getting fired out, 2 duos with cannons, breaks it down, sending QNDX into the zone.
And Fahad and Hero looking to go back-to-back here as Rapid and QND are out. So that leaves them the potential top contenders, but no, it's Nema right above here. Wait, is he still a solo player? No, he could still be. This could be him on his last limb. We actually saw him lose his teammate earlier, and it looks like he was not able to get him back in, and still finding success as Slack now goes down to the Cybertron cannon, and Nema still holds on. No heals left, but doing everything he can to get some points on the board.
Nema in a great spot here to utilize the cannon, not aware that there's a duo just inside the bunker that he has angles on, but now to be stuck on cooldown. He'll look up above now, down with that MK7 assault rifle, trying to deal as much damage. That'll be Hero and Fahad now having that line of sight cover down below from the cliff side, who look to try and close out because they have the numbers advantage.
Can they do it, though? That's the question. Fahad, Hero, using the low side of the mountain just to rotate forward. Nema still up on top here, but the Storm actually closing in, forcing him off, and no, he's going to go down. Now it's down to a 2v1. Can Fahad and Hero go back-to-back here in match number 2? It's looking like it's going to happen, Ben, as Kai takes a ton of damage, and there it is. Fahad and Hero, match 1, theirs. Match 2, theirs again. What a back-to-back win.
Look at him from the top ropes, literally here, up from the high ground, looking to close the game on top of the world. That's going to hold on to their spot at the top of the leaderboard. 2 games, 2 VRs. You couldn't ask for much better.
You couldn't ask for better. I'm going to be honest, look, that's what you love to see. Consistency off the rip. Did you hear that? Wait. I think he yelled to his mom. He said, hey, I'm winning.
Who else?
Look at this guy. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But no, nevertheless, look, that's going to be it for Ben and I here for the first 2 games. We'll come back a little bit later, and of course, we'll tap in Shio and Levin here momentarily. But now it's time to throw to the stage and let them take it away.